Hi girls, today we're going to do an assessment of the core and the pelvic floor, and that's going to involve first a breath mechanics assessment where we see where exactly the oxygen is going when you're breathing in, and we're also going to check your abdominal bracing capacity. So we're going to get on your back and we're going to test those two things out right now. Put your hands right on your belly, like basically right next to your belly button. And we're just gonna take some regular breaths here. And we're gonna assess where you're breathing from the most. So if you notice that your hands, while you're breathing, are not moving anywhere, but maybe you see your chest puff up like that, just take note. So that means that you're breathing more into your chest and not as much into your abdomen. So we're gonna adjust that. So what I want you to think about is when you breathe in, you're actually going to think about inflating your belly and trying to raise your hands up in the air with your belly. So you're going to take a breath in. And if you notice, my hands went up and down, basically because the air was raising them up and then letting them come back down. So I want you to practice the diaphragmatic breathing. You're going to do 5 really nice and slow breaths on a 3 count on the way in. So like so. Hold for 2 seconds at the top and then exhale for 3. Hold for 2 seconds at the bottom. You're going to do 5 times of that breath. You can pause the video here if you want. Okay, now that you've gotten the breathing mechanics down, we're going to test out the abdominal bracing now. So basically what that looks like is thinking about bringing your belly button down to your spine, or thinking about pushing your lower back into the floor. Think about a little kid coming up and punching you in the stomach and you're bracing for impact, right? So any of those things, if those help, that's the basic motion that we're doing, where we're starting with some space underneath your lower back and then we're crunching down and removing that space. So we're gonna first practice just how I kind of just did it there. So you're gonna start in your neutral position. You're gonna put your hands on your hip bones, so those bones right in the front, and you're gonna go just slightly inward on the soft part of your abs there. And when you do that belly button into spine bracing, you should feel that ab get a little bit tighter underneath your hands. So let's just practice that. You're going to bring your belly button into your spine, hold it for a couple seconds, and relax. And again, each time you do that, you should feel this kind of mushy part here get a little bit hard. That means the right muscles are doing their job. So now we're gonna add a little bit of weight to this motion and see if you can still maintain your abdominal bracing. And Frida's gonna join us. So you're going to have the same position you were in before, belly button into your spine, and then from there, you're gonna straighten out one leg and you're gonna lift it up and down. So I want you to do 10 of these on one side. If you start to notice that you're losing the contraction in your abs, or if you're noticing that you get a little bit of a tunnel under here, then sorry, you failed the test. But that just shows us that we really need to work on that core bracing, because you're unable to maintain that while there's extremity movement going on. And then the last test, level 3, is going to be a double leg lower. This one is super hard, so don't worry if you can't get it. But you're going to put your hands underneath your butt. You're going to lift both legs up in the air. You're going to start with that belly button into your spine, and you're going to lower both legs nice and slow, trying to keep that lower back against the floor. Oh boy, this is hard. Okay, I did not pass the test. My lower back started coming up off the ground when my foot was right about here. We want to get all the way down ideally. So that's just something to note, that there's some work to be done with the core bracing, but that's not to say that you can't do any strengthening of your pelvic floor, obviously. The pelvic floor and the core strengthening that we're going to get into in the next video are going to start to work on that.